At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Steve, I was just riding my bike, and I was only like a mile in, and this girl, I just saw her like sit down. She was a runner, but she didn't look like she was doing too well, so I stopped to ask her if she was okay. And I was like, do you want a gel shot? You know, so I gave her a gel shot, and she's like, you're my savior. And I kept, and then I rode on a little, and then I went back. I was like, do you need another one for the road or something? She's like, I'm fine. We talked for a minute. She was a flight attendant. And I was like, so you want to get tea sometime after talking? And she's like, she hesitated. You know, I'm waiting for I have a boyfriend. I am married, but though I didn't see a ring. And then it was she said, I'm very gay. And I'm like, well, is that like a very full flight? You know, because she's a flight attendant. I didn't realize there was a scale of very gay to, but it was not, you know, fine. That's fine. At least people tell you what they are. That's totally cool. So yeah, I didn't get her number, but I gave her a gel shot.
I tried, Steven. What can I tell you? I tried.
Tried on the wrong person.
How am I supposed to know? She didn't look gay.
Whoa, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Exactly. That's exactly what I didn't say, because you don't know who's gay and not gay, and by looks, it's like not even a thing. It's just I saw a girl, and she and like I said, she looked like she was not doing well. So I gave her an energy shot, or asked her if she wanted it. She took it. She said I was her saving grace.
Oh,
so that's like, okay.
All right. So you're saying there's a chance.
So hey, yeah, you got those glasses on. Very nice. Very nice. She's like 5 foot, about 120 pounds, had glasses on.
I thought you liked the tall girls, though.
No,
I feel like
I
you're
don't
a little
care.
more to the taller ones.
No, I'm equal opportunity as long as they're in shape. I was with a 6 foot something girl once.
That's what I mean. I thought, they're always a little taller.
No, wait. First off, Steven, I just said if they're in shape. Now, nobody come and try to cancel me to say that I'm fat shaming, because the truth of the matter is I am looking for someone who is active. Steven sees me flexing right now. I work out sometimes 2 times a day. Yoga counts as one of the times that I'm working out. And then I lift. I am looking to have an active lifestyle. And so that means that if the other person is not part of that and doesn't share the same ideas in that, then I don't want to be with them.
So you can be like workout buddies? That couple?
It's not even about workout. It's just a lifestyle choice.
Meanwhile, Jared's wearing a sleeveless, cut off like Under Armour shirt right now.
Sleeveless.
Which way? The
in
gym,
Seattle. The gym is, well, technically it's that way because my house is that way.
I will say your arms are significantly bigger than when I first started with you. But even back then, you thought that you were like Arnold.
I never thought that I was Arnold because I'm not on steroids. But when I posted my arms a few weeks ago, I was like, you can see the clear definition of the bicep, the tricep, and the shoulder cap. So we are working on all those different, isolating those areas.
How about my guns? Looking good?
They're flapping the other way, like when in Popeye, whoever's arms would just flop down into like a U, like that was the old school way. But no, I do ask people. You have to have the ability to go up to someone and strike up a conversation and ask. I hate dating apps. They're not good. You never match with anybody. And so if I encounter someone in the real world, it's a delicate situation in this day and age. You have to take care with how you approach someone and just be like, look, we had a nice conversation. Would you like to grab tea, or would you like to get a drink sometime? And that's what I asked. And she said she was very gay.
Very.
And
not
then
just gay, but very gay.
But I did say, because you know my thoughts when every time they say the flight is very full.
Extremely full flight.
Is it a full flight or it's not? It's either full or not.
Yeah.
So, and then, I was like, okay, well, happy Pride. It's not called Gay Pride anymore. One of my friends told me it's not called Gay Pride. It's just called Pride because people got upset that only meant gay people and not trans and everybody else. So even in that community, there's some infighting over labels. And so I left you another voicemail, and I was saying, am I allowed to call it a gay parade because it's actually gay? In this case, it's a gay parade.
Oh, that is one gay parade.
It's a gay parade, so you could say it's a gay parade. Sure. So you're allowed to say it's gay.
So
and
gay.
Not get in trouble.
So gay.
Speaking of gay, Dan went to the parade and he took little Dan, which isn't gay. I mean, it's a parade, but it is a gay parade. So I actually drove through it, not like through it like the. We drove. You were
part of it, right?
No,
so your therapist was right.
My therapist was right. Yeah, no, but if you really want to see a lot of very attractive women, go to a gay parade or go to the gay bar. Go to Woody's. I tell you, the best place to go to talk to girls is Woody's. The worst place to go as a straight man with an ass like me is Woody's. Because the last time I was at Woody's, a guy just decided that he wanted to grope my ass, which is not acceptable. It's not acceptable.
No, I agree, but I think most people would assume you're gay because you're at a gay bar, right? But I still think you shouldn't be grabbing your ass.
First off, have you been to a gay bar?
I have. It's been a long... I've been to Woody's.
Woody's is an unbelievable place to meet women because usually a bunch of girls go there because they don't want to get hit on.
That is true.
I'm there to do it. And usually
you're the single soul straight guy.
Well, no, there's a bunch of straight guys there. But at yoga the other day, there's a girl that I've seen a few times. Like I do yoga and I actually had a really good yoga session the other day. It was super fitnessy. I did a really, really good job. I felt really good there. And there was this girl that I've seen a bunch of times. I've talked to her a few times. I was going to ask to see if she wanted to get a drink, but I didn't see her after the class. I was just going to wonder if she was going to say that she was very gay too, and maybe it was a new trend. I don't know.
It's so weird that every woman you meet happens to say they're gay.
I will let you in on a little bit of a inside baseball on the type of women that I've been attracted to in the past. They generally tend to be gay, and it's because they're athletic and they do those sportsy things. And I kind of have a liking to the tomboyish type girls. When we used to tell Todd that, what would Todd used to say? Yeah, men, little boys.
He would say little boys.
Todd's like,
10-year-old boys.
You like girls that have asses like 10-year-old boys. And I'm like, well, I do like small asses, but not 10-year-old boys. It just so happens that a lot of the girls that I've
look like 10-year-old boys
attracted to look like 10-year-old boys. Thanks, Stephen. No, it's just
not creepy at all.
That's what I like, not 10-year-old boys, but
you like the really thin, women. Slender, yeah.
Not always thin and slender. They can be athletic.
Well, yeah,
that's
a little
what
bulky
I look for.
too. Yeah.
Whatever, athletic softball girls that play shortstop, never the first base or the catcher, because first base is where they put the. Can I say grenade here? That's where they put
Jersey Shore.
That's where they put. What did they say that in Jersey Shore?
Grenades, yeah.
I did not watch a minute of Jersey Shore ever. But anyway, that's where I like the girl that plays shortstop, the second baseman, sometimes the left or center field, because they're usually the athletic type. So that makes sense
when we were shooting the Z8, and the entire time you're shooting the shortstop girl who happened to be very attractive.
Now it makes sense, Stephen. Yeah. Now it does make sense to you, doesn't it?
I'm like, why is there like 40 minutes of EVF recording of this one girl?
I was waiting for her to get a play, Stephen.
Sure you were, sure.
She's a shortstop. Usually they're one of the most athletic on the field because they have to field the balls. What? Anyway, field the ground balls. Speaking of shortstops, have you followed my poll saga?
Yes. The
People
random
keep
poll.
messaging me.
What is it? I don't understand even what it, because you're not showing like what it's holding up. You're just showing the poll itself.
No, that's just a pole in the middle of the street. In the middle of the sidewalk.
It's got to be holding something up, right?
It's holding nothing up. It's into the side. So let me explain to you. There's a construction site that's there, where they're building another bunch of houses and apartments and commercial stuff. That's what they're building.
So it'll eventually support something, I assume, right?
No. This is just a 4x4 pole that is just planted in the middle of the sidewalk.
Why?
It might denote the end.
It has to serve a purpose.
It might be denoting the end of the construction area, but they put two poles in, one smack dab in the middle of the sidewalk. There so happens to be an old small pole, metal one, so people can't ride on the sidewalk from back in the day that's already on the left. They put a second 4x4 square pole right to the right. So the thing is, when you walk past this construction site, you can't use the sidewalk. So they have orange separators in the streets, creating a sidewalk on the street, so you can walk on the street. But then it ends where a car is now in front of you, and you have to get back on the sidewalk or walk in the street, which is obviously dangerous. My issue is that this pole is in the middle of the sidewalk. Jaleel, who's in a wheelchair, or anybody else in a wheelchair, could not roll on the sidewalk at all to get past this pole. Me, with a big ass, can barely squeeze between the pole. people who, and I used to say women with strollers, but now it's anybody with a stroller, even those dumbasses that put dogs in strollers. That is the dumbest thing ever.
It's got to be against code or something. I'm sure there's a certain width you have to have for a replacement sidewalk of some sort.
So I am threatening to remove this poll. I have written a letter, and I will be posting it tonight on the poll. It says, "Dear pole blocking the sidewalk, you are making it impossible for anyone in a wheelchair with a stroller or larger to say larger means
butt.
larger means larger person to safely navigate the sidewalk. There's no reason for you to have been placed in the middle of a sidewalk. Do you expect people to have to go in the middle of the street to get around you? This letter is the first request for you to be removed before I choose to remove you. Please remove yourself in the next 24 hours. Signed, Jared Polin.
I need to fit my 36-inch badunk in between this pole and the other pole.
I wear a size 31 waist pants.
There you go, close.
My ass may stick out wider, but it's so this poll, I will be posting this note on the poll tonight. You can look forward to video content.
How do you think
Follow
the poll
me on
will
Instagram.
respond?
I'm
sorry, Jared.
I'm going to call 311 and get it removed. It's bullshit that you can't get in the sidewalk.
I do agree that it is an issue, and it's just very odd. I always assumed it was supporting something, maybe even temporarily, because there's no context. You're just showing a close-up on the pole. I never actually saw the surrounding scene.
All right, then I'll make a reel about this poll. I will make a reel about me posting it. I need to bring a nail and a hammer.
Watch, it'll have like 2 million views in a day.
Yeah, it'd be like the pole saga. But
biggest video we ever put out.
If I posted it on TikTok, it would be like, oh my God, this is so bad. We need to do something about this, which means let's
rally
protest
up TikTokers.
It. Let's protest it. Let's go. What was that voice, Steven?
I don't know. Why do we sound like that?
Why do you sound like that?
Hey,
what are you trying to say?
You started
I didn't do anything like the gay parade that you just did.
I didn't say it sounded gay. You did.
But it's the way you spoke. I don't. Anyway, let's move on. Welcome to Gay Talk, episode 54. Next week we'll be canceled, and we're not going to be canceled.
We're going to have so many negative reviews after this one.
Whatever, dude. I told you about the reviews. This is funny. It's called comedy. It's called RAWtalk, and it's called informative.
Really offensive, Jared.
That poll is offensive. So welcome to RAWtalk 54. We're going to be talking about product showcases, what that means.
Oh.
We're going to be talking about AI photo editors. I added that to the notes without you knowing,
I was going to say, I didn't see that.
Something about a wildlife refuge where I encountered someone who had a question about a camera because they just searched me for a video. Talk about some Canon rumors, a new Sigma lens, the new Apple computers, as well as, of course, the Apple headset, which we will go into detail about our thoughts from a photographer standpoint, from a user standpoint, and everything along those lines. As always, you can text us at 313-710-9729. As Stephen always suggests, you can counteract those negative comments that are left in 0 stars by adding your own 5-star review or thumbs up on Spotify or on the
Apple Podcasts.
So please fill us with 5 stars. We appreciate it. So let's talk about product showcases, Stephen. What did we do?
So we got our hands on a new gimbal, which we've realized it's pronounced Zhuin when it looks like it's pronounced Zion or Zion or something like that.
Ziuihun. Oh, fuck.
Zhiyun.
Oh my God. It's
Zhuin.
Yes. Which actually makes sense when you come to say. So the funny thing is, go ahead, Stephen, tell us, I'll get back to the funny thing.
So pretty last minute, we got sent this gimbal and we're asked to do a product showcase, AKA a sponsored video. And we decided to call it a product showcase because that's what we're doing. We're simply showcasing the product to the viewer. We're not saying it's a review. We're not saying anything else about it. We're just simply saying this is what it does. Here's the product. If you want to check it out, go to this link, blah, blah, blah.
Because we're getting paid.
Again, it's a sponsored video, which we specifically said in the video. It's a product showcase brought to you by Zhuin. Those words exactly.
We had some commenters leaving like, is this
an ad?
Is this an ad?
Is this an infomercial?
Well, one, we clicked the button in YouTube that says that
product
it's a
placement or
product
whatever.
placement. And I didn't remember that I said brought to you by, but we said brought to you by in the video. And I also make it abundantly clear at the end. I say, look, a product showcase is where we use a product. We let you make a decision on if it's for you and give you a link that if you'd like to get it, you can get it. It's a showcase. That's the whole point. It's a product that you may not have known existed, and now you do. That's advertising.
And I saw a couple of people saying, well, like, this is clearly not his usual reviews where he says negative things about it too. And I'm like, guys, it's not a review. It's a product showcase for the 8,000th time. Also, we do mention the cons of using a gimbal. The fact that,
Correct.
it's very hard to change lenses if you're on the fly, or even the focal length, depending what lens you have on it. It's very hard and a pain in the ass to balance it initially. So there's a lot of issues with using a gimbal, and we wanted to make that clear. And we still said that in the video.
And we're not comparing it to other products. I'm using this thing and I point out things that I don't like. Mm-hmm. We always do that. Everybody knows that. We use the product. It made the video. I think it was a fun video. It's totally, Steven did a great job editing that and making it look fun.
Well, so my whole point was to try and make it very engaging and interesting to the user, and to really obviously showcase the gimbal, which what you do with gimbals, you constantly are adding movement to the image. So I wanted to make the entire thing constantly moving. So every single shot was a walk and talk for the most part. And we just tried to switch it up and do different angles and just, again, really show how balanced the gimbal was. And we also used a non-stabilized body, a Canon R8, which is also something that's a fairly affordable camera to a certain extent. $1,500 for a $300 gimbal, I think that makes sense. It's not like you're putting a $4,000 R5 on this, but you can. But I think it makes more sense for someone like an R8, R6 Mark II, Sony A7 IV.
But it would still be good for an R5.
Of course. And it can fit an R5.
Let me make another point about saying things that are negative versus not. If there's a product that sucks, we're not taking money for it. If there's a we get offered so many different things that are just terrible products that I'm like, you couldn't pay me to make a product showcase.
We turn down most sponsored opportunities for sure.
If we do one a month, that's a lot.
It is.
And the truth of the matter is, when they're paying, it's very beneficial to the business to, again, afford the ability to do the other videos that don't pay, which is just about everything. Of the 3,500 plus videos, maybe 40 in my whole career, maybe less than 50 in my whole career of making YouTube videos, has been
I
a
would say
paid
closer to
thing.
30 maybe. There's not many at all. I mean, we maybe do 3-4 a year, if that.
It's not that many, but no. I have no problem doing them now. It's just another way of generating solid revenue because people have products they want to get awareness for. I have no problem. And obviously a lot of other YouTubers have no problem doing it as well.
The hard part about this specific product showcase is that Zhuan basically gave us no guidelines. They were like, hey, do whatever you want. And it was kind of hard to figure out, like, all right, what are we going to do? Because we're a very photo-centric channel. So I think that whole walk and talk, quick 5-minute video is a great way to really showcase what a gimbal does in a very short amount of time.
And I really think it did.
I agree.
We saw for ourselves using it, like,
we also had no time too. I mean, I think we found out. Well, I found out about it a week before it was supposed to be due, and I'm like, "What? It's due at the end of the month." So we had to push it back a little bit, but we shot it in like 2 days and edited it in like a day and a half, 2 days. So
and found out that we really liked what it did. It did exactly what it's advertised to do, and the price point of $319 or $439. To give people the stability for that value it was certainly worth it for someone like us.
Like you said, the value you get for $319 or $439 or whatever the combo kit was, it offers a lot for that price point. It's not that expensive. I feel like gimbals back in the day used to be way more expensive, and they've come down in price a lot, and they are a lot easier to work with now. Yeah. Now, I think with us moving forward, I would like to add in some gimbal shots and stuff like that, but I'm still all about the run and gun life with you when I'm trying to film you like on location shooting something, because you never stay still and you're always trying to, you're shooting for yourself, not for the camera so much. So I can't really do cool moves around you when you're running around like a madman.
Yeah, I mean, it would be good if you're at like the Pride Parade, honestly. If you're at a place like a Pride Parade and you're walking around and you're showcasing people and you're doing circles around people and you got the flags and you've got people having fun, you could do the low angle shots, you could do the high angle shots. That's good. When you're trying to get me photographing and doing a photo shoot, it's not good for that situation because you can't zoom and you have to but your feet are your zoom. So in certain situations, it works. Can we move on from gimbal now?
Yep.
Because that was just explaining product showcases. Because we actually have another offer from another company. It's an AI editing software company, Imagine.
You gotta tell me about these things. This is the first time I'm hearing about this.
I didn't take it, Steven.
Okay.
I didn't take it.
Okay, all right.
No, I didn't take
the gimbal, that's something you need to tell me, especially when it's a video-centric product, before you make that deal or when you're making that deal, because I had no idea we were doing that until like the week of.
Now these people want me to do this software. Basically, it's an AI powered editing software. The thing is, you have to upload 3,000 of your pictures to train this 3,000 of your edited pictures from Lightroom, which train the AI, and then you go ahead and upload images that are unedited, and it will spit them back in a matter of 20 minutes or less, the edits, and then it goes right into your Lightroom. So in theory, it kind of makes sense for if you're a wedding shooter, Vanessa Joy, any of those people that have 5,000 images and you shot a wedding and you have a specific style, and this will mimic it. It's honestly, I don't know how it's no different than syncing all of your files with your own preset.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because what happens if you're overexposed by a stop or two, and does the computer know that? Does it know that you're going for a high key look or something like that? Or
I don't know. I haven't tried it yet because I'm lazy. Even though I've had time, I just can't get my head around the 3,000 uploading of images, and then I just need to try the damn thing and then tell them if they can give us money or not to do something.
And there's certain shots, like, what if you throw on like Silvertide preset,
it's only color or black and white. You have to do two different processes.
Gotcha.
It would only spit out color
like
if you choose that
or whatever.
Well, they have options. It would have to be everything would be edited in that style.
Okay.
So they do have options where you can have like Joe Schmo's wedding photos all edited with this person's style. They do offer that. So it's basically like a look from someone else, but whatever. I'm still deciding whether we do this. I just need to try the damn thing. Let's move on. So often I'm out and about and people do come up to me because they recognize me and they ask questions. Now,
hey, there was that guy with the sleeveless shirt and small arms.
Exactly. And a big ass. And a giant ass. I was in a wildlife refuge. I did make a video and I was like, it's like refuge must stay on path at all time. And I thought it said refugee for whatever reason because my brain.
There's two E's in that.
I know, but I screwed it up. And I'm like, why must refugees stay on the path at all times and everybody else is okay to go off the path?
Oh, I saw that and I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, because it's not refuge, it's refuge.
Yeah.
It's a wildlife refuge. Nonetheless, I'm walking with my friend Katie and her dog because she wanted to get out there and walk. And this guy comes, he's like, he's walking with a lady and he's like, are you Jared Polin? He was like, I was looking for a camera and I saw your videos the other day because I like to watch birds and now I want to photograph birds and I'm going to be going on a trip to Colombia. He's like, I'm thinking about the Sony A7 IV. And I'm like, are you like sold on that? Because like I really feel like I can't recommend the A7 IV in comparison to other cameras in its price point at this point. So
what did you recommend?
I was just like, look, I know you, because he was thinking of the 200 to 600. Now the 200 to 600 from Sony is a great lens. It's also massive,
super versatile.
It's also very big.
It is.
I was like, look, I really think for birds. Photographing birds, things that fly, things that you need to track. The Sony A7 IV lacks the new AI processor that the A7 R5 has and that future Sony cameras will continue to have. In comparison to something like a Canon R6 Mark II or even an R7, the autofocus that we've seen for tracking birds is absolutely fantastic. More so in the R6 Mark II. And I'm like, so Canon makes a 100 to 500. Yes, you're not getting that 600, you're getting a 500, but it's a smaller lens. It's probably an easier thing to carry around when you're traveling. And I believe in the autofocus a hell of a lot more. Oh, not to mention that you're going to get 40 frames a second when photographing a bird. And you're not really going to have Boeing issues because the bird isn't really flying as fast as a baseball.
And the readout speed, even though it's not a stacked sensor, is still fairly fast.
Exactly. Or you still get 12 frames a second with the mechanical shutter. So
he could even get like the 600 F11 or 800 F11 if he's shooting in broad daylight. Why not?
I mentioned that too. I said they're not great. They're not great, but an 800 might be an option, or you could crop a little bit. But for you going away to Colombia, I'd let people do whatever they want to do. It's my choice not to. But I was like, I really think that the Canon is a better option for you. And I really do think that the Canon is a better option at the price point than the Sony A7 IV. I think Sony missed with the Sony A7 IV.
They're the same price,
frame
right?
rate.
2600 or 2500.
I haven't looked it up. I think
they're the exact same price.
Let's see. Sony A7.
The thing is, while you're looking that up, the A7 III made such a big splash because of what it offered for $2,000. And I just think the A7 IV did not hit the mark, did not offer as much for, and they raised the price to $2,600, I think.
Best Buy has it for $2,500.
$2,500, okay.
B&H just clicked on their sponsored ad. It's $2,500.
It's still a great camera, but now you have the R6 Mark II. You got the competition, and I mean, there's a lot. It's not the king anymore of that $2,000 price range.
Guess what? The Canon R6 Mark II is also $2,500.
Yeah, I thought they were the same price. Okay.
The thing with the Sony is it does have 33 megapixels. I do like the sensor in that camera. I just hated it. It just felt like everything was lagging behind. It felt like the autofocus box was lagging behind when I was shooting. It felt like the shooting was lagging behind because it's 6 frames a second with uncompressed RAW and 10 frames at, oh God, Steven, do you see this right now? Do you see my arm? Look at my arm on this camera. Do you see, look at those veins. I just caught a whiff of a view of my arms.
6 to midnight.
I know. Oh, what's that sound? Is that you, Steven? Wait, it's after 10:30. Where's my package?
What?
I'm supposed to have a package by 10:30 from Canon. And let me try to get tracking because I was like,
maybe they stopped at Woody's.
Maybe they stopped.
All right, so the $100 to $500 is $2,700, and the $200 to $600 from Sony is $1,900. So that's actually a pretty big price difference. That's $800. But again, he's got that option of doing the 600 f11, the 800.
Wait, how much? Say the pricing again. I got distracted.
$2,700 for the Canon and $1,900 for the Sony. And the
$200
Sony
to
gives you
$600 is only
an extra 100
$1,900?
millimeters.
It's only $1,900 now.
Yeah, $1,900. I think it was $2,000 before when it first came out.
That was more expensive.
Yeah, it was $2,000 when it first came out.
It's a great lens. It is a much larger lens to carry around.
It's a 6.3 at 600 millimeters, where the Canon is actually a 7.1. So
it is.
It's a little better of a lens.
It is a better lens, but when it comes to autofocus, the body is more important. Really, the autofocus.
Oh, I agree, for sure.
What's the point of having a better lens in terms of that 6.3 versus 7.1, which isn't very much, if it's not going to focus right? So
now you also have all those third-party options with the Sony, though, too.
I run into people all the time. Let's see. I just got it. It says Wednesday. It's out for delivery. Oh, by 4:30. Son of a bitch.
So what are you getting?
The R100 is coming in the mail, and I believe the 28 Pancake.
We got to do another freaking user guide. Those are so painful.
We do it. We'll get it done.
That takes like 4 or 5 hours to record one of those. It takes forever, and then not to mention editing a 2-hour-long video. Even just simple multicamming, it's still like a freaking week.
Yeah, we should probably cut down on how long they are, but it's hard.
It's hard to because they offer so much now in the menu system. You really do have to do both the video and the photo menu, then the live view, the Q menu, everything.
Yeah, it's a lot. But those videos are very helpful for people when they watch the right video on the right camera instead of telling us that they're watching the wrong video. I've been corresponding with someone who bought an R6 Mark II and was watching the wrong video. They were watching the R6 video and saying that the menus didn't match. Then they contacted Canon to tell them that the menus didn't match. And then Canon, whoever the support over there, the live support chat, they just have no clue about cameras. They don't.
Oh, that's good.
They recommend, the guy was having an issue. He's like, I don't see where it says face tracking and lock on in the menus. It doesn't match yours. The moral of that story was he was watching the wrong thing. Canon sent him the wrong link to the wrong product and then said that the way that you activate the lock-on tracking is you must touch the screen. That's how you do it. Now, that's terrible information that I forwarded on to my people at Canon to make them aware that this isn't the first time that customer service has given terrible information.
Now,
to
if they're talking about video, I kind of get that, but I would assume they would talk about stills first over video. Yeah. Because you forwarded that email to me, and I'm like, wait, he was talking about like what he saw and why it wasn't matching up to our user guide, and I'm like, he's got an R6 Mark II. What he's talking about is in the original R6.
It must have gone over.
And he forwarded the manual and saying it didn't match up to the manual either, and I'm like, that's the R6 manual, not the Mark II. Yeah.
So usually human error is the cause of most things.
Almost always, yeah.
And so we got to the bottom of it, and the guy's happy now because the camera works the way that it's supposed to work.
Good.
All right, moving on to newsy stuff. We've got Canon Rumors posted some patents from a 35-1.2, again, something new. Well, they've been rumoring that one for a long time. And then unexpectedly, a 12-1.2?
There's no way.
Is it a 12-1.2 or a 12-1.4?
12-1.2 I feel like would be enormous and crazy expensive.
Maybe.
Then again, it's not a zoom.
No, it's a 12-1.2.
Wow.
And I just went onto the
that
website.
Would be a phenomenal astro lens.
And then they had now there's a new rumor for an RF zoom fisheye is coming, which is probably inevitable because there are no native fisheye lenses on Sony,
a regular
Canon,
fisheye or a circular fisheye or what?
Just fisheye. There's no fisheye option. Now I'm not a big fisheye fan, as you know,
I hate
but I would like a 35-1.2. I said in the Photo News Fix that I would like it, though it does bring up a question. Would it replace a 28-70 f2, even though one's a 1.2 and one's a f2? I have the versatility for running and gunning. I have a 28, a 35, and a 50, and 70 millimeters. You have that entire range at f2. That's amazing.
I'd probably just stick with the 28-70 f2, yeah. If I had to choose between both, the versatility. Now, what's the price of the 35-1.2? It's probably going to be like $2,700 if I had to guess.
I think it would be $2,500, $2,600.
So it'll be close to the 28-70, but that just gives you so much versatility.
It does, but maybe in some situations where you don't have to run and gun and move around as much, that a 35-1.2 would be awesome.
I would love a nice, sharp, fast prime like that, but I don't know. I think I would still go 28-70.
You know, and I did say that Sigma, I used to use the Sigma one that was a 1.2 on the Sony A7
and
R4.
I love the look of that lens.
I did, but then when I put it on the A1, it just lost all of its sharpness. There was just something that it just didn't keep up with the focus. It just couldn't do it, and it was a little softer than I wanted it to be.
Was that a DGDN lens?
No, yeah. I think it's a DGDN. I think it has to be. Yeah, because they would have never had that for anything else.
Yeah, actually, I think that was one of the first DGDN lenses that they put out, if I recall.
DGDN. Yeah, it's a DGDN. It has to be.
So designed specifically for the E-mount from scratch.
How much is this lens? It's $1,500. Yeah, it needs to be updated. That's a lens that needs to be updated, but whatever.
Man,
I think it's so few people.
$1,500 though. That's great.
So few people purchase that lens that it's definitely.
Well, I think 35 is one of those focal lengths you either love it or hate it.
And I love 35. Now,
I do
12-1.4 is 12-1.2 is one of these ideas that I could never wrap my head around, but I also couldn't wrap my head around the Sigma 14 millimeter 1.4 that just got announced until Steven was like, because Sigma said, "Hey, would you like to review this lens?" I'm like, I can't see you needing to want to review this lens. And then Steven's like, "Well, you could shoot X, Y, and Z." And I was like, Steven is right. Why don't I ask them to send me the lens? And I will say that I took it out to a soccer game, which is I took one lens to a soccer game, a 14 millimeter with an A1. That was it. That's what I took to the soccer game. But the whole reason was I wanted to shoot the all-encompassing wide shot during the national anthem that gets the stadium, the fireworks, and everything. It's not the widest, right? 12 millimeter, that's wider. 11 to 24. 11 millimeters wider, just like I did at the Phillies game.
But that 11 starts to really bow when you're that wide.
Not only does it bow at 11 and it's an f4, it's not super sharp when it's on a RF body anymore.
I agree.
When you adapt, it's just not great. Now that photo I got is great.
I found that the center's pretty sharp, but the edges are not. When you're
falls
11.
off pretty hard.
Yeah.
And then when I used this 14, I shot it at 1.4. I took a picture of my friend Dina, who was shooting the game, shot her at 1.4, 2.8, and 4 just to show the difference. And between 1.4 and 2.8, you can see, they both can do some background distortion. F4 just makes it look like a snapshot. But when I was doing the Phillies game and I went on the field for the Nick Castellanos signing, what a difference that 1.4, because you generally, when you shoot wide, you don't get much separation unless you get super close.
Not much
with
bokeh.
The 1.4, I was getting separation. The colors were tremendous. 1.4 worked extremely well.
Obviously, it depends how close your subject is to the background and everything too.
They will bow again at the edges. You have to be aware of that. When I shot I was in the first base photo well, and I was shooting at 1.4, the batter, getting like the whole field in there basically. I just wanted to see if I could do it. Not the best angle ever, but when I went up into the stands and took from the outfield shooting, getting the entire field, all the outfielders, the infielders, and a pitch happening, I shot it at f8 just because I wanted to, give it more leeway. And holy shit, is it sharp, vibrant, and when you bang it out with some Skittles, it is amazing.
And it's $1,600, right?
It's a $1,600 lens.
Because I was looking at the 14 from Sony, the G Master, and what's that? That's also a 1.4, or is that a 1.8?
It's a 1.8.
So that's a 1.8, and that's also $1,600. Now, I do think 1.4 and 1.8, that's a whole stop difference pretty much. for astro especially. I mean, that's a big deal when you can really bring down your ISO. I'm looking at pictures, by the way, of this thing. Does it have a tripod foot? Is it heavy? That heavy where it needs a tripod foot?
Well, the point is that you can put it on. Yeah, it gives you better stability, less shake. It allows you to put it on a. I put it on a Wimberley. It's a Wimberley plate or whatever it's built-in foot, so I could just put it right onto my swivel arm thing that I bought for shooting the Artemis rocket, so that you can track. But yeah, it's great for that because it balances extremely well.
I guess a lot of people, again, this is going to be such a big astro lens, will be putting it on a tripod for sure. So it makes sense. But I didn't think it was that heavy. Wow.
I was going to go shoot some
pounds.
How much?
2.6 pounds.
Yeah, it's a heavy lens.
Woo.
It's a heavy lens, but the point is, it's meant for mostly being on a tripod, though I used it in a different situation. It's not great as a photojournalistic lens in terms of getting action. The focus just can't keep up with it because it has 19 elements and it's heavy, but that's expected. But it worked really well. It's going to be very good for like cityscapes, I think. It may be a little wide for certain landscapes, but when I was shooting the stadiums and architecture stuff, it's gorgeous. Even at 3.2, I shot the stadium, the soccer stadium, and 3.2 was sharp edge to edge. Just fantastic.
Wow.
I was surprised there.
This is where, again, we run into that conversation of, do you go with a prime like this, the super fast prime, or a zoom? Because you have also the Sony 12 to 24 f4G, which is about the same price. It's $1,700 or so. So it's like, do you want that versatility, or do you want just a straight up 14? Because you also have the G Master, but that's like $3,000, so I wouldn't really compare it to that.
Well, I have the 12 to 24 2.8 from Sony,
but again, that's like $3,000.
Yeah, but still, you're paying for the versatility.
I think that lens has. You have the 12-24G, which is $1,700.
That lens sucks the asshole. Steven, that lens is the worst lens ever.
You used it like once.
No, Steven, I used that lens for a while with Sony. I used it all the way back when we were in the air balloon.
Yeah, I thought that was the only time you used it.
No, Steven, that lens is terrible. The bowing on the edges, the vignetting on the edges is absolutely atrocious.
I expect it to be not great.
It's not a sharp lens all the way through. The 2.8 still has issues as well. I
remember you had a lot of back focusing issues with the 2.8, right? Didn't you replace it?
I had to send it in.
Yeah.
I had to send that one in. I sent it back to them, and they sent me another one. And I honestly think we still have two, and we never sent the other one back. I do not recall.
We're so bad with that.
We'll know when we move studios, maybe. Well, we're not even going to do it.
Why do we have 7 versions of the 12 to 24 2.8?
I should sell them for sale, which I won't do. Yeah. But that's a great question. The versatility of a zoom, which for running and gunning I like. Like Canon has the 15 to 35. Now, that's a 2.8. If that was a 1.8 or a 1.4 or a 1.2, or an f2, that would be amazing. Right?
I'm still waiting for them to release an f2 Trinity, man. I want a 12 to 28 f2 or something, or 14 to 28. That's fine.
It doesn't even need to be that long.
70 to 150 or whatever they're rumoring.
I hope they do, because there's a thing about. I said it.
There's no thing about primes almost at that point.
Well, I say there's a thing about zoom lenses with prime quality because of the aperture being at f2.
Yep.
It just separates you so much from everybody else. When you look at your images that you capture at f2 with a 28 to 70 f2, or you use the 1.4 like this 14 Sigma, or a 50 1.2, 35 1, whatever, your images just have an extra zhuzh to it. They have more dimension, more contrast, more sharp. They look unbelievable. They look three-dimensional, because that's what you get for paying for better glass. Now, that's not to say that we all didn't start with shitty zooms. I started with shitty zooms, and one of the first great lenses I ever got was an 85-1.4 Nikon ED with the ring that would always break off, because the plastic always broke on it. They always needed to replace it. But when I got that lens and I was shooting concerts, and I was using a D2X at the time, so you didn't get high ISOs. But when you were shooting at 1.4 and you saw the colors, what a major difference. So that's what I'm talking about. You work your way up to it. I'm not saying that you must get the best of the best with Honor Surf from day one. I put out the idea of glass. I always say 2.8 or better as a starting point if you can, because it just sets you up for success. It just does.
I mean, I had the original 50-1.4 EF version, which was super slow focusing, but it still did the job. You know, when I shot wide open with it, it really transformed my images from, you know, versus shooting with straight up like f4 or kit lenses at that point. And then eventually I graduated to the 51.2, but yeah, I mean, everyone starts somewhere.
If you're wondering, did I shoot astro photos? And the answer is no. One, it was a full moon at first, and
with
then
the
two,
Sigma you're talking about, right?
The Sigma. Then two, the Canadian wildfires. They're like geese, right? They're everywhere, and they're a nuisance.
Invading the U.S.
The Canadian wildfires. I came out of the bowling center last night. I was all prepared to drive like an hour and a half to go somewhere to do this. And I looked up. Well, you could just smell the fire in the air. You could smell the wood.
You could still smell it today.
Burning.
And there's actually a lot of wildfires going on in Jersey too. So I'm sure that's coming down on top of that.
So I didn't end up doing that. So for the review that we do, Sigma did supply photos. Of course, they're good photos, but they're really good Astro type photos, except for they're processed really terribly. So I had to put Skittles on them, and that made it look infinitely better. No matter what anybody says, Skittles makes it better.
Vibrant. Boom.
It does, just like when I did it on all of these satellite images from the...
Yeah.
It's just better, Steven. Skittles makes it better.
Just like putting it on the Mona Lisa and stuff like that.
Anything on a Monet, it makes it better. Van Gogh, it makes it better. Renoir, it makes it better. Matisse, it makes it better. More vibrance and saturation makes the world go round. Time to move on?
Let's do it.
Moral of the story, the Sigma 14-1.4 was pretty damn surprising. I wish that they only made something like that in RF mount so I could include it on my camera that I like to use. But shit, that A1, the colors that I got off of that, I mean, that's still a fantastic camera. I still hate the ergonomics. A lot of the people at the Phillies still use it.
The A1 still really holds up, man. It's amazing how
the
even
A1
today, it's like they could release that camera today and it would make a big splash.
The only thing they really need to do to update the A1 is put in the new AI processor for autofocus, get the new autofocusing system. The 50 megapixel sensor is perfectly fine.
I mean,
they
50
just need
megapixel
that tweak.
stack sensor shoots 8K video.
30 frames a second.
Yeah, 30 frames a second. I mean, what are they going to do with the A? I'm really excited to see what they do with the A1 Mark II and also the inevitable R1.
Canon R1, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Let's get on to Apple, because that's the chunk that we want to talk about.
Yes.
The chunk taken out of the Apple. So I like to watch the Apple keynotes, and I don't know that you can call it a keynote announcement anymore, or just the fact that they run a video, which is kind of smart because there won't be mistakes. They can make it polished. They can make it look good. Part of it, though, used to be watching them do live stuff, and it was kind of fun, even though it was basically the same exact thing that they do in the video.
Live demos, you mean?
Well, like Steve Jobs would get up there and do introductions, and it was more personal. Yeah. Though watching a video is fine. So what I sometimes do is I'll come in an hour late, but I hit pause on the YouTube video so that after I come back, I can speed it up to 2x speed and get through it. I fell asleep in my chair, head back on my Herman Miller chair, and woke up after the One More Thing started, which was the only thing.
Miller.
Yeah, well, it's because it's comfortable.
Not just a chair; it's a Herman Miller chair.
It's a Herman Miller chair. It's only $1,200 to $1,300 to $1,600 for this Embody chair. Look it up, Herman Miller Embody. I do recommend it. Your ass is in one.
It is. I'm actually in the same chair right now.
You've had that chair for years.
I have. It's probably 8 years now, right? 7.
It's got like a 16 or a 12-year warranty. If there's ever an issue, these things are meant to last 20, 30 years.
Agreed.
Your ass will thank you. Well, and once your ass is this big, you need to, it's like sitting on a cloud. This portion of RAWtalk is brought to you by Herman Miller. It's not brought to you by Herman Miller, but I do like this chair. What was I talking about now that I was talking about the chair?
You fell asleep in the chair.
I did. I fell asleep in the chair and I woke up. The thing was 2 hours and 6 minutes long.
Wow.
That is way too long, especially for right after they finish it. Apple puts up a 2-minute recap of everything. They put up a 9-minute recap of the video of the new Vision Pro.
Yeah, I don't know why you sit through that. I just watch the recaps after, and it takes me 5 minutes because I watch it in 2x speed.
I didn't get invited to Cupertino like the same people that always get invited. I don't know if I would have. I probably would have gone.
Wait, you went up for an Apple event before, right?
I did. It was when they announced the Mac Pro Tower.
That's it. Yeah,
in San Francisco. In San Jose.
Yeah, because you have B-roll of like Tim Cook being only a couple feet away from you.
Right, I was in
And
there
Johnny
when he was in there.
Ive, what's his
Johnny
name?
Ive.
Johnny Ive, yeah.
Yeah, so I was there for that. But anyway, you guys by now know what was announced. New MacBook Air 15-inch. I think the bigger takeaways from the computers was the Mac Studio now became the Ultra and the Max, so super fast, 3 times whatever. I don't care their numbers. They say 3 times faster than the old one. I hated when they started making comparisons to the old Intel Macs. I'm like, guys, that's 5 years ago. Why are you they must be pulling at straws to figure out why it might be better. So people need to upgrade, that it's faster than the old. Well, that's probably why. If you still have an old Intel based one, you are playing in the dark ages when it comes to it.
Oh, I mean, these M chips are blazing fast. My laptop's 2-3 years old now, and it's still crazy fast.
And you have the M1 Ultra
M1
Max or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've got the same thing. And Dan has the Studio, the M1
Which is
Ultra
the M1
Studio.
Ultra, yeah.
We have under the desk a Mac Tower that I paid $14,000 for, and
my laptop will blow that out of the water.
Right, and the point is they did update the Mac Pro for people who want it, who need all those PCI whatever connections, and it only maxes out at $11,700 or $11,800. The old computer you could max out the first time they came out the Mac Pro Tower. The modern one with the M1, oh no, it wasn't even M1.
Couldn't you max it out like 40 grand or something?
Dude, it wasn't even the M1. It's an Intel based.
Well, that's
processor.
what I'm thinking. Maybe there was just whatever royalties or whatever they had to pay Intel. That's what they were making up in price, because everything is significantly cheaper now that it's made in house. The chip itself by Apple.
Though you could max a computer out at like $48,000 before. Now you just max it out at $11,800. And the reason I say only is because I paid $14,000 for that other one that's now a paperweight. Now that I even think the MacBook Air 15-inch would outperform it.
I agree. I mean, look at the Mac Studio. It's what, $2,000, something like that for that box.
Starts at $2,000, or it's $39.99 for the Ultra.
Guarantee it will blow that old tower out of the water. It's so powerful.
The point about pricing is, now that they're in-house with their own chips, they definitely can control the price and make more profit and keep the price down. And you know that they're doing a good job when Linus Tech Tips, who's a major
praises Apple,
tech
super PC guy,
super PCs, praises it. I remember he broke down the pricing for the Mac Ultra or something, the M1 Studio, and he was like, well,
for what you're getting,
it's actually priced right.
Yeah, for once.
He's like,
because Apple used to kill people with the pricing, and now they really made it affordable to everyone for the most part. I mean, depending what you want, because even the Air, like you said, is still a very, very powerful machine for not that much money. What's the Air run? Like $1,200 these days?
I'm on their website. Let's see. MacBook Air 15-inch order now. Yeah, starts at $1,299.
Yeah, because I bought my wife one last year for Christmas.
Well, you got her a 13-inch.
Yeah, the smaller one.
Dude, you can get a 13-inch M2 chip starting at $1,099.
Wow, that's even cheaper. I think I paid $1,300 last year for the M1.
You can get an 13-inch M1 from $999 up.
Wow,
that's the older older. Now that's the M1. Now the M2 one starts at $1099.
Doesn't it start at like 256 gig hard drive to a pretty small hard drive?
It says 16 core, 2 Thunderbolt. They actually don't even list it. That's funny.
Really?
Let me hit select and see what it is. They hide it. 256.
Yeah, that's a little rough.
SSD. But let's move on to what everybody else was interested about, the Apple Vision Pro.
Vision Pro.
The AR VR headset that they're using the word welcome to the era of spatial computing. That's their way of saying it's not VR, it's spatial computing.
Same thing.
Yeah, it's VR, AR, because you're in a world. But what I like that they did is that they didn't really push the gaming aspect of it, which seems to be what most of the other headsets have been all about, entertainment and gaming. Now, they did push heavy into the entertainment part.
They did. I think that was the majority of it.
Let's just take a step back. If you don't know what this is, obviously you can go watch a video that MKBHD did, or there's a 9-minute video where Apple does a walkthrough. It's a device that you put on your face that is augmented reality, so it has 12 cameras on it that are 3D cameras. They can see your environment. It passes through the image from those cameras with a 12 millisecond latency to your eyes, so you can interact with the world and move around and still see the world. But also you can block out the world and have screen, like these 2+, they're more than 4K OLED displays in front of your eyeballs, and be immersed in a world for entertainment, for productivity, yeah, I mean, productivity, entertainment, and I mean, surfing the web and stuff like that.
It's funny too. They have that eye tracking technology, just like Canon has in their R3, inside the actual headset.
Yeah, it can track your eyes, and it can then scan your eyes and put an image of your eyes on the outside of the visor, which also has a OLED display on it that's curved and it's lenticular, so that it makes it look realistic on the outside to people. It's basically Ready Player One, basically, if anybody knows that, which I love that book. But it's a headset. I think the biggest takeaways from it for me right off the bat was, one, how is it powered? And it's powered with an external brick that gives you 2 hours of usage when you're not plugged into a wall. So I think they're aware of the fact that there are limitations. It's a Generation 1 product.
Sure, and I think most people aren't really walking around and using this. I think they're sitting down, probably near an outlet they can plug in. I don't think that's a big deal at all. I do find it interesting that they added a separate battery brick, like you said, that you have to put in your pocket or something like that, but that's interesting because it won't add more extra weight to your head, because it's already a 2-pound device, right, or something like that.
I don't know the exact weight, but people said that it feels good on the head, but it does have some weight to it. So you know, after a while of using it, but then they also said that Apple didn't have all of the right sizes and everything to put it on your face. I worry about my hair as someone. I don't want to mess my hair up usually.
I watched Super Saf. Are you familiar with him at all? I watched his video on it. He just put it out, I think, this morning, and he specifically said that there's an extra strap that you put on top that will mess up your hair, but they didn't show that during the keynote for some reason.
That's not there at all.
He said that there's another strap that will definitely mess up your hair.
But see, that's so weird. Why would they market it? They're not showing the strap at all anywhere.
I don't know.
Because they have
I'm just going off what he said. Yeah, he couldn't show it because he couldn't film it.
But they have on the front of the Apple webpage, it's a girl with basically an afro poofed up in the top of her head, and it doesn't show her wearing one.
My guess is it probably comes as like an extra accessory. If you want to include it, it's probably just better stability, but you probably don't have to wear it.
Right, and even everybody in their commercials, you can see, even in the graphic they show on the website, it doesn't even show a connection point for an extra thing up top.
I don't know, yeah. Can you see what it comes with on the website?
No, you can't see, because it's not available till 2024, which I think is smart.
You can't even
pre-order. The reason they
it?
announced it, no, you can't pre-order yet. But the reason that they've done this is they did it at the WWDC, which is the Worldwide Developers Conference 2023, and they need apps. They need killer apps from other people, because it comes with the basic Apple apps for you to do basic things.
And just like the original iPhone, that came with just the stock Apple apps, and then eventually the App Store is what really, I think, blew up the iPhone. That's what made it such a great thing, because every single developer jumped on board and made an app for the phone. Now, the phone, I also think, is much different than owning a headset, but still.
It is. Yeah, I can't see... Look, the price is $3,500.
Yeah, let's get to that, because that's insane.
It's not meant for a consumer right now. It's just not. It's going to be early adopters who can possibly see it for productivity. I thought the coolest thing that I saw was when they said that you could have it on and you could look at your Mac screen, like your Mac Pro, and I'm assuming my 6K display in front of me right now, and it will then take that display and put it inside of your headset. What they weren't fully clear about is it literally just your screen and all your apps have to live in that screen? Or can you separate out the applications, which I hope is what they get to?
You only get one desktop display when you're connected to... Yes, as of now. Now, you can open the internal apps and put them in separate, around your face, I guess, when you're looking around. But if you're going and looking straight at your laptop, you can only use one display, one desktop, I guess.
But my hope is that you can use the headset to basically, without the need of having a monitor. So you can have a computer, but you kind of technically still need the monitor because you have to look at the monitor.
Well,
but what if you had a Mac Studio?
Exactly,
right?
Yeah.
What if you had a Mac Studio and you didn't want a monitor, and this will be your monitor? I'm sure there's going to be a way that it will connect because it's seamless, and Apple does that really well. Their ecosystem works out. You won't have to log in and do all this other stuff because it just
seamlessly works, yeah. They do a great job with that.
That is one thing that they get extremely, extremely right.
Now, speaking of editing off of it, using it as a desktop or something like that, I am a little concerned about how will color grading be? How accurate is it? Now, they do say it's a micro OLED display that has 64 pixels in the same amount of space as a single iPhone pixel. So it's super detailed and sharp. And I believe they also said that the way it distributes its power is where your eyes are looking, it'll make that part of the screen very sharp and reduce power on the other side of the display, which is
very
crazy.
Interesting.
And there's almost zero lag, according to MKBHD.
Yeah, which is incredible. At first, so the way that you work with inputs is you use your fingers. Right? You use your eyes to select things, and your fingers can be down below. They can be on your waist. When you tap, tapping is just put your finger, your thumb and forefinger together. Yeah. Right. It's like a mouse click, which is kind of cool because, well, it doesn't have controllers as of now. Now, they said it won't have controllers, but there are some times where controllers might be like there's no haptic feedback. So when you tap your fingers, you're not getting any clicking. If you type on a virtual keyboard, you're not going to get any clicking.
Well, speaking of that, they did say though you can still connect a normal keyboard and the Magic Mouse to it if you are editing, for example. So
which is great.
Yeah, because I don't need to see my keyboard. You know, I can you still see it though? I wonder if
yes, you'll still be able to see it.
Okay, if you can still see it, then I'm good with that.
It might be you because you can still look down and it's going to pass through the keyboard. Now, you may not want to look down with that 2-pound thing on it, but maybe it will put a virtual keyboard in front of you and you can see your fingers on the keyboard.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Yeah, like
digitally,
doesn't mimic it.
That would be great. That would be fantastic. So I think that's great. Now, the $3,500 price tag, of course, is expensive. Oh, I did want to say it does have an M2 chip in it, and that new R1, because they name things, a new one that's for the latency and computing power for video, turning the signals into something. But it does have the M2 in there, which is obviously powerful.
It's its own computer, basically. That's what you're paying for.
It is a standalone computer, and it is more expensive than everything else because I think it's going to be better right off the rip than everything else that's ever come before it. Is $3,500 a lot? Yeah, the answer is, of course, it's absolutely a lot. It's just like, I know we talked about this comparison before, and it's not exactly the same. When I bought the first iPhone, and I have the box on the floor behind me, the receipt is $599 in 2007. Yeah. Now, that was for a subsidized phone.
Which also equates to about $900 in today's market.
In today's market. But remember, the phone, if it wasn't subsidized by AT&T when you purchased it and signed a 2-year contract, would have been closer to $2,000. It was like $1,600 or $1,700 was the cost.
Was it that much? I thought it was like $1,200.
It was like it was. I mean, we could look how much. If
you didn't go through AT&T.
You had to go through AT&T.
Well, yeah, because they were the sole provider.
You couldn't buy it outright. You couldn't buy an unlocked phone. It didn't exist yet. How much was the original iPhone if purchased?
But why even bring that up? Because you could only pay $600 for it anyway.
Well, because the reason I bring that up is because AT&T was paying the other part to Apple. That was part of the deal. So the phone would have cost as much as a computer at the time. And so this is a first-gen product, the Vision Pro. This is a first-generation product, the Vision Pro. It's going to sell out. There's no doubt in my mind they will sell every one that they end up making. Yeah. And that it just means that version 2, version 3, if they do go that far, if it even takes off, if this is a thing that people want and it actually has productivity purposes and entertainment and the battery and everything shrinks and gets better, you know, one day you'll have glasses on like we're wearing right now that can be this thing, except maybe you not, because that's not, your vision is going to be skewed by the outside world. But
see, a lot of people are saying something like that, or saying this is another iPhone moment. Remember when the iPhone came out and people thought it was overpriced and all that? I disagree with that, though, because the iPhone's a phone. At the end of the day, it was still normal to have a phone. It's not normal to have a VR headset on everywhere you go, and I just can't see that becoming a thing. I think this is a Google Glass moment. I think it'll definitely, like you said, it will sell out. There will be early adopters for sure, but I just can't see like everybody in the world owning a VR headset eventually, unless we're talking like 50 years from now. But I don't know, even in the next 10, 20 years, I just can't see that becoming a thing. Like, people don't want to feel like they're being filmed or watched or taken pictures of if they're talking to you with a VR headset on, just like the Google Glass.
Some of the, I follow a couple of people, like Scott Galloway, I talk about all the time. Yeah. He's not gung-ho on this. He thinks it's going to be a flop.
I think it's a gimmick.
he thinks it'll be a flop. He thinks that the bigger win for AR or AR is in the AirPods. He thinks that that's a better place to have computer. That's a better place to have your assistant. That's a better place. Now, you don't have the visual and it's not productive, but think of the movie Her. It's basically having this AI assistant in your ear that's updating you and you talk to it. That's something that's not as obtrusive as the glasses.
And it's normal for people to wear headsets or I'm sorry, AirBuds or AirPods or whatever they are outside of the house. They shouldn't do it
when they're riding their bike, Steven. Or
Unless
when they're running on a trail.
No,
even that doesn't work great. People don't pay attention. You need to pay attention.
I think we're going to look back in 10, 20 years and be like, hey, remember that time when Apple put out this weird headset that cost $3,500 and nobody caught on? But Apple usually doesn't give up on products. They usually take a couple generations to really fully can it. I mean, how many times have they actually nuked something after one generation?
Well, the Newton, but
well,
then
I'm talking about
back.
like current day Apple, like the past 10, 15 years.
Well, they don't release new products often. This is the first new product since the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
A new category. I mean, I don't count the headset, right? The Apple whatever.
I remember when the iPad
headphones
came out and I just thought it was a dumb idea because it's basically just a giant iPhone. Why would someone need another device just to do the same thing? But obviously that really caught on for the most part.
Well, it did. It's still about the apps, but for me, the iPad is still about using entertainment.
For sure.
Which you brought up. The point is, this is a soul watching experience.
It is.
So it's not like you're going to sit
with family or friends.
You're not going to be in the same room, and you're not buying two of these for $7,000 to sit there with your wife to watch a video.
I mean, even a gaming event, if you're watching the basketball game or football game or whatever, you're not going to be like, hey guys, you can watch it on the big screen. I'm going to watch it on my whatever it's called, Vision Pro. Unless you want to be that guy.
But I think a lot of this is Apple throwing a bunch of stuff out there to see how
what sticks.
Developers react.
Yeah. And I'm curious, how will eye fatigue, how will it be? Even just having something on your head for that long. For me, for example, when I wear my over-the-ear headphones, if I'm doing a 10-hour edit day, it really starts to hurt my ears. And it's not really that there's that much pressure on it. It's just having something on my ears for 10 hours really just it starts to annoy them. And I'm curious how this will be with your eyes when you're looking at something that's 2 inches away for 8 hours or even for like 2 hours. How will it be?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the reason I returned the Apple headphones, the big ones, is they were too heavy. They squeezed my head.
Exactly.
They were just too heavy.
And I think Apple does a great job with making these like metal objects that are really heavy duty and will probably withstand a couple drops and stuff like that. But in return, it ends up being a much heavier product, and it's just a pain to wear something on your head that's so heavy. So I was going through the comment section too of MKBHD's video about it, and I just wanted to see what people were saying. And I find a couple of these comments interesting, and I want to read them out loud. Like this guy said, I've had the Oculus for a while, which is another VR headset. It was revolutionary when I got it, and I love the idea of being able to have extra screens in a nice work environment. But quickly you realize your eyes get sweaty, hot, and sore from using the device. The battery life isn't good. The device is heavy on your face. You look ridiculous and aren't going to wear it outside the house. I haven't used it in months at this point. Will this device have the same pitfalls? Perhaps it will finally crack the VR market because of the loyalty of the fans, but the price point is so high, how many people can justify that price? I think that was a really interesting comment and take on VR headsets in general.
Yeah, I mean, I bought you guys, Dan and you and myself, the original one from Facebook, the $4.99 or whatever it was, and I used it for a minute, and I thought it was interesting. I thought it was kind of cool to be immersed in the world, but then I also felt like it took me out of the real world.
Yep.
And I felt like that was a dangerous slope to go down.
And if I had that on for more than like 20 minutes, the second I would take that off, I almost started to get like vertigo or something. Like I felt a little dizzy after the fact. My eyes really had to readjust. And then someone else brought up another comment. I certainly know if I saw someone using this in public, I would think of them the same way I think of people that bought the check mark on Twitter. I thought that was funny. And then someone else said, I'm mostly more concerned by Apple having the ability to constantly monitor everything around me with sensors so granular that if they wanted to, they could insert someone else into living the exact same experience as I'm having, which I thought was a really interesting like meta comment.
I don't worry about the whole.
I think Apple's very good with privacy.
Thing.
I don't think they would do anything, but that is an interesting point.
Could you see yourself wearing this on an airplane? If it had the battery, if you could plug it in?
I think that's the only place in public I would probably wear it if I had it.
You still look like a douche.
You totally look like a douche no matter what, yeah.
I'll be that douche. Excuse me, are you talking to me, flight attendant, while I'm wearing my Apple Vision Pro?
Look at my googly avatar eyes.
Look at me. I'm watching Ready Player One.
Speaking of the avatar eyes, eyesight, they're calling it, where you basically have these fake digital eyes on the other end that people can see. Now, again, it's fake. It's kind of weird. It like digitally scans your face and tries to mimic your eyes on the other end. And they brought up like you can FaceTime people and a digital rendering of your body can be on the other side. And I just think that's the complete opposite reason of why I FaceTime someone. I want to FaceTime them so I can see them in real life. Like my brother lives in Louisiana, so when I want to FaceTime him and see my niece, again, I want to see them. I don't want to see a digital rendering of them. So I think that FaceTime point just renders it useless, in my opinion.
Now, I do think Pornhub will be pretty extensive on this.
That's a main reason why people buy VR headsets now, if I had to guess. Not that I have one or anything, but...
No, I just... I'm not. So what I like that they did is they didn't push VR.
Yes.
They didn't push 360 VR. They didn't push immersive worlds that you float into. They didn't push that, which is like, because VR content kind of sucks. I mean, it's cool to be immersed, but that's not what they pushed.
Well, gaming is pretty cool, though. I know a lot of people use those VR headsets for that.
Sure.
That's about it.
For that, it's cool, but I don't game.
Same.
I, from a productivity standpoint, would love to be able to write my photo news fix where I have a big screen in front of me, because I don't see very well.
Yeah.
And so when I have the screen in front of me, I could be typing right there. Then I could look to the left and have a full website to browse and then to copy, paste, to do whatever, because I would still use the keyboard and the mouse for now. I could see from that. I could see being in Lightroom and being able to zoom in and see my images as long as the colors are right, banging out some Skittles on stuff and edit.
And I thought MKBHD brought up a really interesting point too, that say, what if you wanted to go and sit courtside at the Lakers game and they had a 360 camera with immersive spatial audio and you could basically pretend you're sitting at that game and buy a ticket for $20? Or what if you wanted to have a great seat at an Eagles football game or something?
Or what if you wanted to go to a Taylor Swift concert?
Yeah.
And all you hear is, I love you.
There's somebody right next to the microphone just screaming.
Shut the fuck up. I didn't pay to listen to you, fuckhead.
It'd probably be just like watching it on TV. They have the feed right from the microphone. And you hear some of the audience. You're not really hearing like the person next to you.
No, I mean that would be interesting.
Because I would, if I was by myself at home, if that became a thing, I would totally buy a concert ticket or something for $15-$20 depending what it is and watch it.
So the thing is, if the developers can come up with the killer apps that make it so good for me, for productivity purposes, it could be a thing. Will I buy it for $3,500? The answer is I can make YouTube videos out of it, which will make us money back. So yes, I'm gonna order it. I'm just gonna order it unless Apple sends me one to use, which actually, I don't know.
Maybe they will.
I don't know. I wasn't invited to the thing, and I didn't get invited to New York yet to try it on, because I know they do that in New York. I don't know if that's going to happen. It may be a different department than the people that I speak with. You never know. But regardless, I could see ordering one just because we generate revenue here, and it's another thing to put out and make money off.
Jared, it's a write-off.
It's a write-off. But I do want to see it for the productivity, but I don't know that I want 2 pounds on my head at all times.
Agreed.
Unless
it might be one of those things, again, where you rock it the first week or two, and then you kind of get over it, and you're like, and it just sits on your desk for the next 10 years.
I do like certain sitting places with women is fun, and that's very virtual. Is if they could put 2 cameras on their thighs as they straddle you, you could be like, hey, I'm watching the Eye of Sauron.
Oh.
Let me see your winking eye. Good morrow. Can I see your winking eye? God, how good is that movie? What is that? What's that movie called?
Does it start with an R?
With DJ, no, not DJ Qualis. He's not in that one. But Minotaur.
All right, so we just spent a few minutes looking that up. We had to figure it out. It was Role Models. I knew it was something with an R.
That movie is so good.
It's so dumb.
Like, I want to see your whispering eye, and you're like, oh, it's yeah. It's just funny. Anyway, yes, I'll probably end up ordering it as soon as you can order it, just because it's good for content, and I'm curious to see how it works. I was thinking, do we order 2 and leave 1 closed for 10 years from now?
Make like 60 grand off it at an
Well,
auction.
MKBHD.
I was literally thinking of that this morning. I'm like, wow, I wonder if people just buy 2 of them and keep one unwrapped.
Well, MKBHD bought the original iPhone unopened.
It's like 40 grand,
for
right?
$40,000, and I have the box right behind me. But when you think about it, he probably wasn't old enough or alive in 2007.
Yeah, he's pretty young.
He's 28, so
he was definitely alive.
He was definitely alive, but he wasn't. He wasn't buying
probably like
these
10.
yet. I unboxed it. So I remember I waited in line, and they only had 2 options. They had a 4 terabyte and an 4 gigabyte.
I was gonna say not terabyte.
They had a 4 gig and an 8 gig iPhone, and they only had a limited number of 8 gigs. And so you didn't pre-order. You had to go wait at the mall. So I went to one of the malls that I thought would not be as busy, that had a smaller AT&T store, because did they not have Apple stores yet? I don't think they had Apple stores yet.
I don't know.
In 2007, they didn't have Apple stores, I don't think. And I waited in line, and you were like, are you getting the 4 or the 8? Because you're trying to count. They're like, we only have 16 8 gigabyte phones. And so we get in, I get it. My business partner at the time, we thought it would help us with productivity. It was just to look cool. But I remember taking it home, unboxing it, I went out to the baseball field. It was a little league because I used to go out there to umpire all the time. And I had it in my pocket, and I showed it to a bunch of the kids. They're like, is that it? And then they're like, oh. Dude, do you know how cool it was to have a phone that you could touch?
Yeah.
Like it was a new world. This isn't that. I don't think the visor
that's why I don't.
is that.
When people relate it to the iPhone, I'm like, that's totally separate, different type of thing.
No, they're not selling billions of these over the next 10 years. I do
Even
think
if it
they
was
will
priced
sell them.
accordingly, I just don't think people are into headsets in general. You know what I mean?
I'm super curious to try it. I would like to wear it.
Sure
I hope I get invited
awesome.
to try it.
Don't get me wrong, but I just think $3,500.
I want to use it
for
what I want to use it for.
Porn.
Right. That's what I want. Porn. You're right. Late at night.
By yourself.
By myself. Pornhub on favorites. And need that M2 processor for that. And nailed it. Hey, would anybody like to watch? I've got 12 cameras on the outside. No, you know what they're going to sell? They're going to sell a visor that goes on the outside that blocks and blacks it out so it covers the cameras. So it can't see what you're doing. Or maybe it's really good in the bedroom if you don't like your significant other and you can view through an avatar. You can see through, but it puts a different person's body in front of you.
Yeah, it's not weird at all.
It's not weird at all, Steven. It's not weird at all. It brings us
around. Who am I going to have
around.
sex with tonight?
Well, if you went to the Pride Parade, Steven, you could have very easily found someone. I'm just bringing it all the way back to the beginning where we started.
Nice book ending.
Because we have to wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Which is very important if you go to the Pride Parade, to definitely wrap it up. Safe sex is very important, Steven. As your wife's pregnant?
It's a Pride Parade. I don't think they're getting pregnant.
AIDS, Steven?
Oh, well, of course, but
STDs. That's why you want to protect from that. So it's very important. This is a PSA to wear your Jimmy, as they call it.
Jimmy hat.
Back in the day. Jimmy. Wear your Jimmy. Anything else you want to add, Steven, today?
That's it.
Before we're canceled?
That's
tomorrow? That's it. Text us, 313-710-9729. Check out all of our past episodes. If you're new to the podcast, thank you for listening. We try to release these every Friday, and I like it. I enjoy it, and you enjoy it. And it's 54 weeks now.
Yeah. Let's keep it going.
In a couple of weeks, we're going to be doing a Q&A episode. Steven will be going on vacation.
Yes.
Which means we're going to put out the word probably through Instagram, as well as our email. Sorry, not the email list, but on the text line. So the text line is probably going to be the best place to ask us questions. 313-710-9729. Do not ask us questions until we send out the text requesting your questions for the episode. That's what we're going to end up doing because Steven's going to be away. We'll probably do another Q&A and maybe add some topical stuff. You never know what we're going to do. All right, let's end it, Steven. Thank you guys very much for listening. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya. That poll's gonna die. That poll is gonna die.
Bye.
Later. Bye.